Well, the Justice Department is being sued because they won't cop to payments that the U.S. government made to Twitter. This is a story about the censorship industrial complex. We know in the U.S. we have expanding power of military, the military industrial complex. We also have the biopharmaceutical, it's not rolling off the tongue today, the biopharmaceutical industrial complex. Now we have the censorship industrial complex. It's the expanding power of censorship as taken by media companies to control and expand their power and make money. So we know that the government paid Twitter money to reimburse them some of their legal costs. This came from some of the early Twitter files. We've had these for almost a year now. They came out last December from journalist Michael Schellenberger. Here was that revelation. Recall this email, internal email from someone at Twitter saying, Jim, this is Jim Baker, former government employee Jim Baker, who became lead counsel at Twitter. Hey, Jim, guess what? This program instituted a reimbursement program for our legal process response from the FBI. Prior to the start of the program, Twitter chose not to collect under this statutory right of reimbursement for the time spent processing requests from the FBI. But now, hey, guess what? We collected $3 million. Look at that. Since October 2019, that figure is $3,415,323. Sorry. $3,415,323. This money is used for LP and things like, well, these things, training, tooling, blah, 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 right? So here Twitter is saying they made over $3 million from the FBI because they did things the FBI wanted them to do. We showed you those. We saw them in the original Twitter files. They were when the government said, hey, here are some, people who are critical of vaccines or mask mandates or government lockdowns. Can we downrank them? Can we take their channels down? Can we take down these specific tweets, even true things such as if you have COVID, you have had natural immunity that may be superior to a vaccine? Those things were taken down at the behest of the government. Same things happened around other topics, war in Ukraine, Hunter Biden's laptop. We can go on and on. We won't go through all the evidence again. Now, the way the Twitter files explained this was that this was, quote, compensation for the time expanded handling software and data requests from the FBI during the period of October 2019 through February of 2021. Now, is that it? Or is that bad enough? Or is there more? Well, what we want to know then is why, how did they categorize this? Because basically it's a pay for play, Twitter doing the government's bidding. Now, this is a great example of what author Carol Roth says in her book, The War on Small Business. The very reason the government hates small business is because they cannot concentrate power in small businesses the same way they do in big businesses. So this is a textbook example of the government concentrating power through Twitter, Facebook, Google, Instagram, Pinterest, right? You can pull just a few strings, but if there were many small businesses, we can't pull all those strings if you're the big, powerful government. Now, a group called Judicial Watch, a DC-based watchdog group, asked for records about these payments last December when the Twitter files were first released, and they have received the runaround from the government ever since. As soon as the Twitter files were released, they filed this request for documents under a Freedom of Information Act, and they have not been able to get it all the way until now. We're almost a year later. So now they're suing. Here's the case that was filed in the District Court of Columbia earlier this month. Now, they're not seeking money. They're asking a court to compel the Justice Department to cough up the documents. Here is a little summary of the runaround they've been on. So December 24th, they submitted the FOIA request. January 12th, the FBI acknowledged it and advised that they had assigned it a request number. January 30th, they said, we can neither confirm nor deny the existence of these records. February 7th, the plaintiffs submitted an appeal. Later that same day, they got an appeal number, at least, if we go on to the next document. In May of this month, they were informed that as a result of discussions between FBI personnel and OP, they had remanded the plaintiff's request to the FBI for further review. So they're not able to get what they're looking for. So as of this date, the deadline has come and gone. And so they filed a lawsuit. They're asking the court to make them cough up these documents. So what do you think? They're saying they cannot confirm or deny. That says to me they're there. They have internal, and it's probably quite damning. Like, hey, maybe we should, because we're asking Twitter to do a lot of work for us, maybe we should offer to reimburse them, right? That's bad enough, right, don't you think?
Yeah.
Or is there something even more smoking gun? Like, how did this come about? Who decided to pay them? And does this influence the fact that Twitter complied to censor Americans' freedom of speech, which is their constitutional right?
It is an amazing thing to think that a third-party social media company was paid millions of taxpayer dollars to silence
censor said taxpayers.
Yeah, to silence taxpayers, basically, and to silence political speech and to silence political opponents. Because as we know in certain lawsuits, of course, Dr. Ayaduri, who of course was censored and basically pushed out of the Massachusetts Senate campaign, of course, Dr. Shiva Ayaduri, like we know basically on his actual court cases that these things were happening. The absolute censorship by the Biden administration to push him out.
Right.
So these things, it's unbelievable that they would use. And for people that are sitting there saying they would never do this, I mean, just looking at the weaponizing of the IRS in Cincinnati, in Ohio, going after political opponents. So
of course they
absolutely are doing this.
Yes, that's true. And, we're seeing this now play out in a Supreme Court case that the Supreme Court has only just picked up about whether or not the government can continue to do this. But at least we now know that they did. This same case may play into that case when we learn about why, for the censorship that was done around the pandemic, why social media was paid for it. I believe we also have some information about how Facebook received money too, but I'd have to dig for that. But again, why? Why are we paying social media to do what we ask them to if you're the FBI?
Well, and also how it seems like they're just getting away with it. Like, what is the recourse here? Just being sued? Why, if you're the Department of Justice, who's over top of you?
Right. And
who can call any sort of who can prosecute you if you're the Department of Justice? Merrick Garland, like, who's coming after the Attorney General of the United States?
Well, that's a good question too about the Attorney General and other cases about Trump fraud. Like, if the Justice Department goes to Deutsche Bank and says, we need some information about Donald Trump's bank records from, whatever, you need to give it to us and we're giving you this subpoena. Do they pay them for their time searching those records then? Because they want to, does everyone get paid for helping out the FBI? That's usually not the way it works.
No.
That you pay anybody who is a party to a case or a witness to a case or a business that you subpoena. So why just social media?
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.